Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Richard Day, and you're listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast. We're going to switch things up a little bit today. Today, my wife, Dr. Haley Day, is going to be conducting the interview. It's her first time through, so be nice to her. But she really enjoyed her interview with her guest, and that guest was Jennifer Gomm. She's a medical biller and coder. She's been in the industry for over 20 years. She received her medical billing and coding certification from Clark University, and she was the owner of Gomm Medical Billing. Now, that company was a multispecialty billing company, not just chiropractors, but 10 years ago, she started Gomm Chiropractic Billing just to focus solely on chiropractors and our collections. She did that because she really believes in the chiropractic philosophy and our holistic approach to care. Her belief and her passion for our care has been an asset to her in all of her everyday responsibilities when she goes to fight for the maximum reimbursement from insurance companies. She's really highly skilled in the area of personal injury as well as workers' comp, and she's taught chiropractic billing and coding courses in the Boston area for the last 6 years. Her love of business and entrepreneurship has also allowed her to mentor new and existing chiropractic offices. So let's get to it. I'm eager to hear this.
All right, Jen, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Jen and I, we met a couple years ago, and this is actually my first podcast interview. So give me a little a little break if I mess up things. But Jen and I met several years ago, working on our businesses online.
Yes.
And we've been doing our own billing in-house because that's what's worked for us so far. But I've always been curious about adding an outside biller in, and all the details of that. So Jen is on with us today, and can you tell us how you got into chiropractic billing?
Sure, absolutely. It's a good story. So out of high school, I worked in a doctor's office. So really, I've done billing, I feel like, my whole life. In my early 20s, I had a desire to start a business and a love of business, and read all kinds of business books and all of that. So originally, I started my first billing company because I married the billing experience and the desire to start a business, and had great success with it. Probably about 10 years ago, I met my first chiropractor, and it basically from there, because I believed in their holistic approach to healthcare, and we share the same philosophies, it kind of merged into me just doing chiropractic billing. And honestly, my business has never made me happier, and I've probably had more success now than I did back then because of the personal, I feel the way I feel towards the chiropractic profession adds to me fighting for reimbursements and helping patients get authorizations and all of that. So that led me to my chiropractic billing company.
Awesome. That's
I love my chiropractors. Yes.
That's kind of how I got into chiropractic. I loved business, and when I stumbled upon chiropractic, I thought, hey, these work, and that's how I got to where I'm at. So tell us, if we wanted to start hire an outside billing company, can you tell us the process of adding that to the office?
Sure, definitely. It should always start with a conversation and a practice analysis. So if you're interested in outsourcing and you're talking to a potential company, there first should be a conversation, because each office is different. Everybody has different needs. So, discuss what works for you, what doesn't work for you, where you need help, where you don't need help, what your staff is doing, what they're capable of doing. So if that works, because I talk to a lot of people, and I don't talk to them with the purpose of getting their business. I really talk to them with the purpose of helping them, and it might not be the right fit for them to outsource. So if it is, you would then go to usually a bid where you discuss what services there'll be and how much it will cost. If accepted, you'll sign a contract. And after the contract, you then the billing company will take the patient information, your charges, and all of your payments, either input them into their system or your system, because I'll talk about that later, but there's many ways you could work together, but I always advise that you share a billing system. Years ago, billing companies would have an off-site practice management system, so you never knew where your billing was at, or you never had proper reports and all of that. So the billing of today is very different. And the biller will then input their information in and take the billing from the initial charge right on through to a zero balance. It's called the revenue cycle circle, and that's huge for new chiropractors to understand. When you understand that, you will be better able to have a great foundation and make sure that your AR and billing is where it should be.
Okay, and what is the typical cost for an outside biller?
Sure. Typical, I'm in the Northeast, typical cost here, and it does depend. I've seen lower rates down south, say in Texas, and higher rates, say if you're in New York City. I'm in the Boston area, and the typical rate here is 6 to 8% for what the billing company collects. So if the office is collecting deductibles at the time of the visit, which they should be, or co-pays, or self-pay, because in chiropractic you have to have a very strong cash portion of your business. The way a good chiropractic office runs is not just on insurance. That is, the billing company would not get a commission on that, only what they brought in. So insurance dollars, or if they were billing patients, and would be some of those patient dollars. But so they would get a 6 to 8% commission off of that. Sometimes you'll see billing companies giving a flat rate. If, say, an office is just starting, trying to get on their feet. So it's always good to negotiate. And again, that goes back to having a good conversation with the billing company and making sure your needs are met, and not just diving in. If they tell you, oh, we charge 10% commission on everything, make sure that you ask a lot of questions and get the right fit.
Is there a reason why it would be higher? Could there be an added service that would maybe increase that?
Yeah, there could be an add. That's the thing. The services could range, but a billing company shouldn't necessarily choose the codes for you, because then you run into a bit of morality. So, make sure that they're compliant and not doing anything that would enhance your reimbursements or anything like that. But I find, because different areas get paid different fees, your LCDs with Medicare, that percentages just seem to be higher. Commissions for billing companies seem to be higher in bigger cities and lower in areas where the chiropractors' payments are lower.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what do you think the benefits are for having someone outside of the office do it versus having someone in your office doing it?
Well, there's a lot of it. I mean, I've seen it work in the office, so, it can happen. I mean, you do it yourself, and I mean, it definitely can. But the benefit of having it outsourced, it's almost like a good accountant. The benefit of having the billing out is you have someone focusing on your AR, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. You have someone with no distractions. They, are just working your denials and finding out what's outstanding. The phone's not ringing, patients aren't calling. You don't have to pay the benefit package that you would have to pay for employees. This is all contracted, so you're not paying taxes on it. It's a tax write-off, and you're not worrying about staff quitting or training staff. All of that is off your plate, and your billing usually is higher when you outsource. Your AR collections.
Well, and all those other things become yet another job.
Exactly. There's so many jobs in the office. You have chiropractic
Uh-huh.
assisting and you have the marketing and, even when patients, the billing of today is very different than the billing years ago. We have eligibility that you have to make sure is done and referrals and auths and all of that is a full-time job in itself. And then you have to add the billing on top of that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it simplifies it
And
in the office.
do you do much work on the front end of before you even send out the the claims? Do you check just to verify that things are inputted correctly?
Yes, we call it code scrubbing. And a
Mm-hmm.
good software system will have a good code scrubbing ability. So before everything goes out, we check CPT codes, modifiers, fee schedules, facilities, everything before it goes out. So our denials and rejections, they are so low. And again, when you're hiring a company and they're specializing, so for chiropractors, we specialize in chiropractic. We've seen everything. We have the experience enough to know, oh my gosh, this happened. We know exactly how to fix that. Or, whoops, we spotted that's missing the AT modifier or whatever it is. We know enough to know upon looking exactly how it needs to be done.
Yeah, and I think the reason for us that it's worked so well for us in house is
Mm-hmm.
because I'm separate of I'm not in the practice, so I'm almost like our own offsite biller, and
Oh,
I
yes.
yeah, so
So,
I'm kind of more focused than if you have someone a CA possibly doing the the billing, then yeah, you have all the turnover and all that other stuff.
exactly. And it's the multitasking.
Yeah.
When you stop multitasking, it's if you have 5 jobs, you're multitasking. You're not going to give your 100% to any one of those. So it takes that part off the table. And really, your accounts receivable is what runs your business. Without that, there would be no business. So to make that your top priority and make sure it's done well from the beginning, it is, I think, smart. And the fact that you're offsite, you know that's a benefit because then you can just focus solely on the billing.
Yeah. I've been in offices where I've seen stacks of denied claims and
Oh,
everyone's kind of pushing them from desk to desk.
oh yes.
No
I
one wants to tackle them. No one wants to go after it and make the calls that it takes to get the money.
It's so true, and that is the biggest thing we see is stacks of no follow-up. And
Hmm.
because we do it so often, it's all we do. We know how to fix it quickly. So in an office, you might see a scenario where you had a particular denial once a year. And then you have to call the insurance company, and we all know you'd spend an hour on the phone with them, and hopefully you'd get to somebody who could help you. But in a billing company, they're going to know exactly, oh, I know what to do. Did this last week, and then they fix it quickly. And it
Yeah.
is true because the insurance companies, they make a lot of mistakes.
Uh-huh.
And they will deny things saying no authorization when there is an authorization. And they will deny things saying no active policy when the patient has an active policy. So it is a constant, appealing and fixing their errors. That's a good portion of what you do as a biller.
Hmm. What are some other services? I've heard of outside billers helping with getting in network with insurances,
Credentialing. Yep.
credentialing.
Credentialing is a huge part of what we do. We do it here at my business as well. And yeah, that's again another whole area of your practice that takes a lot of time. With Medicare, you have to revalidate every 5 years, and you have to keep up your CAQH profile, and the insurance companies want to know that your license is renewed. So there's that end of it that really goes on all the time. Credentialing, making sure that everything is up to date. So yeah, there's a
Yeah,
bunch of services, and that is definitely a big one that people need.
Yes, all the things that I personally don't like doing in the practice. I would love to hand it off.
Yes.
It's a lot of, it's because it's, well, I think what makes it so hard is, like you said, if you're only doing it once a year or once every 3 years, it's really hard. You don't have a streamlined system, whereas you have that system in your office because you're doing it on the daily.
Exactly. So we see everything. And it very rarely, even when we teach our courses, billing courses, very rarely is there ever a scenario that we haven't encountered, because it's all, it's all we do. And especially where we focus on one specialty, we've just kind of seen it all. So if you're going to stump me,
Mm-hmm.
then you probably have a really good situation on your hands,
Are there certain things that someone should look for certification-wise with an outside biller?
Yes, you want to make sure that they are certified medical reimbursement specialist, certified coder, certified biller through the AAPC, American Academy of Professional Coders. These are all things, which in my company we're certified, that you're going to bring the compliance experience, which today is huge. I mean, compliance is huge in billing. You want to make sure it's done correctly. You want to make sure Medicare doesn't audit you. Blue Cross doesn't audit you. So bringing that experience alone from somebody who's educated and certified will save you in the end. I see a lot of in-house billers or, chiropractic assistants who are entering codes who have no idea what the codes mean. So you could choose a number. If you chose an adjustment, 98941, that biller has no idea that that's a second level adjustment or what it means, or she'll add a diagnosis on, but he or she, and have no idea what it means. So somebody with that experience will understand these codes mean something, and people could get in trouble if you're not using them properly. So it's a huge benefit today to find someone who's certified.
Is auditing another service?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, auditing definitely. Auditing records, auditing your billing, making sure you're not pattern coding, which is a huge no-no in the business. If your billing has the same procedure code and the same diagnosis, that's a red flag for the insurance company. So yes, auditing.
Okay.
And your billing and coding education as well, understanding what you can bill and that you should be billing for your services. Chiropractic and physical therapy share a lot of the same code set, and they do a lot of the same services, yet chiropractors aren't billing for them. They're just billing an adjustment. We see that a lot. And not understanding that, I could get paid for e-stim or traction or all of these things. And sometimes they're afraid because they think, I don't want to bill everything. I don't want to be on the radar. But you're on the radar no matter what.
Well, underbilling's a problem.
Underbilling, it's a problem. Yes. Yeah, it is. And in your business, and you want to thrive, because I always say you have to look at your business as a business with heart. I mean, obviously you're treating people. These are people and humans, and you're treating them, but it still is a business. And you kind of have to get a good combination of the two in order to be really successful.
So you said there's a couple ways of doing it. You can bill, you bill through the office EHR, or they can submit the codes to you and you bill through your own.
Yes. So
the options.
Usually the two options are, they have a great service, Log Me In. They have a couple other services where you can log into the company's actual billing software that they own. It's usually server-based. And that works well. We do that with some clients. Or they would send the billing to us, but I use a cloud-based system. I use Cario. And that enables the office to log in as well. So it's very transparent. They know what I'm doing. I know what they're doing. They can have complete control of their AR. That's why I said years ago, you would send your billing off to a billing company and then they would never see it. You'd never see the payments posted, the denials done, any of that. The billing today is all done together. And
Okay. And
go ahead.
if the doctor used the Cario with you, is that with all of their notes and everything, or that's on their own separate system in their office?
It's cloud-based, so we log in together. So
Okay.
they have a little portal they log in, and we log in, and we work together. So they know exactly what's going on, what was billed. They can view EOBs. They can
Okay.
go to patient accounts and pull up statements. I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. I know it just, for me, if I owned a business and I was a chiropractor, that's how I would want it.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to see exactly what's going on. And with the log me in as well, if you're logging into their system, server-based system, then again, they're able to check. So you always want to be on top of your AR.
Yes. So what would you say are the most important numbers to stay on top of if you have an outside biller, just to make sure everything's going through properly and your numbers are in line with before you started doing that, I would say?
Yeah, so you want to make sure that the amount you're billing and the amount you're taking in, so charges billed and accounts receivable, are pretty close together. I mean, you're going to have contractual write-offs, but you
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that those are pretty good, matching each other. You want to run your aging reports, of course, follow up. You want to know what was billed. Is it followed up? Is it denied? What's happening with it. You want to run reports and find out what are your most frequent denials. Why are they denying? What can we change? How can we fix anything that we're an area where we're not taking money or we're not getting paid? An example is you're having a lot of denials for no authorizations. So how can we correct that? How can we have a routine or procedure policy in the office where the girls know exactly what to do? Oh, it's the 6th visit. We need to make sure this patient gets an auth. So keeping up on all of those things will make your business really strong.
Mm-hmm. It's great that you work with the whole office to set up those systems. I think.
Oh yeah, yes.
It's hard to understand what business systems are until when you're a student and you don't have the business yet, but all of those systems that are necessary to be efficient and effective and do the best with what you've got.
Yeah, yes, it's so true. And I find that one of the biggest issues is that organizing the office so that it just flows. And if you have an employee and you lose an employee, the next employee can step in and say, oh, okay, this is how it works. Mm-hmm. We get the new patient folder. We check the visit limit. To have those in place, those are the successful offices. The ones that are lacking that organization are the ones that struggle.
Mm-hmm. Are you able to work with chiropractors all over the nation, or do you focus just in your location, your area?
We can bill for anyone because we have the experience and certifications. We really could bill anywhere. Mm-hmm. It is beneficial to have someone in your area that understands the laws in your state and the little quirky insurance companies in your state and what they like and what they don't like. It is beneficial. So I have billed chiropractors all over. So, but my main base is the Northeast. And I feel like that's what I could do in my sleep. Not that I would want to.
Well, but I could. We had our practice in Colorado and we have practice in Kansas, and it's completely different.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of laws that, in each state. There's a lot of insurance companies that are different. I know New York is different from Boston, and then Maine. You have your no-fault states, your at-fault states when it comes to personal injury and all of that. So those laws, of course, it would be beneficial to have somebody with experience in your state, definitely.
Okay, because I see a lot of people in chiropractic groups on Facebook, and they're asking for their, what outside biller are you using? But if you're in Florida and somebody says they love theirs in Washington, maybe you should look for somebody in your area.
Yeah, absolutely. And, reach out to people and talk to them. And when you talk to someone, you'll get a feel for, if it's a good fit and if they are knowledgeable. I always say that the best thing to do in business, have an hour conversation with somebody and pick their brain, and then you'll understand, oh, okay, they do know my area. Get referrals, call other doctors that they're working for and find out how they work. That's huge too. So you might find somebody that would know the laws in your state, but an expert would work in your state.
Yes. Do you have an opinion of EHR systems? Have you used a lot of different
gosh.
ones?
I feel like in my whole, I'm lucky that I have a lot of computer skill. I love computers, so I'm able to almost master any software. Yes, I have my favorites and I have my least favorites, but I won't tell you my least favorites.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
What are some very simple, smooth working EHRs?
Well, ChiroTouch, of course. Their note taking is great. Web PT, even though it's made for PTs, the company itself is just a great company. They have a great support plan, and their software, their notes look really great. As far as AR and the financial practice management side, to me, Cario is number one. Cario allows you to get your finances. It just, if a claim's not paid in 10 days, it puts it in a unpaid category, and then you work that category, and then a denial. So for me, because I'm just focusing on the AR and making sure everything's paid and accounted for, and nothing's left outstanding, that works best for me. It might not work best for a chiro when it comes to note taking, and it depends on what you like. I always say this: don't ever spend a lot on your software. The software of today makes it so that there's many options that you can go in and not break the bank, especially if you're a new chiropractor and the budget is small. And I've seen this. I went into an office once where they paid $15,000 for software, and it was terrible. And they didn't even have any money coming in yet. So that I would not recommend. I would start with a simple, low-cost software till you kind of get your footing and understand it a bit before you make any big purchases.
Yeah, when we started, we were lucky. We started it as a cash practice, and we used paper for 2 years.
Yeah.
So we weren't spending anything for those 2 years. But then we decided to take insurance, and we bought ChiroTouch. But we had money coming in, so it worked.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. That's why I say at first, wait a bit. But then, because ChiroTouch does, there are bells and whistles as a chiro that, the EHR portion, they do a great note, and they also prompt you to be compliant. And I like that. That portion of it I find good, because the note taking is always a big issue in this field, and, making sure you're taking proper notes and that they would pass an audit. So it definitely is great for that.
What are some of the biggest issues you see when you take over an account from another biller or from the chiropractor themselves?
I would say the biggest issues are, well, number one, no follow-up. That is always the biggest issue. The claim charges get billed, patients are seen, charges are billed, and nothing's ever done after that. Some might pay, some might not pay, whatever it is. The aging report, which you should live by as a biller, is, 570 pages long. I have seen that. That's probably the biggest thing I have seen over and over again in my career. No follow-up. This aging report, that they don't even know that there is an aging report or how to run it. And I'm always like, oh my gosh. But
I think that's the biggest problem I see. I help a lot of new chiropractors. So they're just maybe in their first year, but they aren't doing daily reports or aged receivables or outstanding claims. And so helping them find those reports, work through them, clean it up, and so that they can carry on, and then to keep up with it.
And to keep up with it. And when you work your software, all the billing software has the same features. And when you understand the revenue cycle circle, you understand how it works, and you want to start with the patient calling, really, because then you want to do eligibility and you want to make sure that their, insurance is active.
Mm-hmm.
Then you want to inform the patient, because this is, you don't want an upset patient because you didn't tell them what their benefits were. And then it goes to the charge, to sending it electronically, to posting payments or working denials, to either a patient balance or paid in full. And that's the complete cycle. And when you understand that and how to work your software so that you're doing these tasks every day, you won't have anything left over. You won't have a big aging report.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest, a lack of organization, no follow-up, and then no eligibility or authorizations. I would say those are the biggest issues that I see when I have to take over an account that is struggling.
Okay. You do have a history of working with chiropractors, being in their offices, around their staff. What are some common traits of successful chiropractors?
Oh, I like this question. I get asked this a lot, actually. And because I have a love for business, so I'm almost fascinated with what works and what doesn't work. And it doesn't even just stay with my own business. It's almost with every business. But I find in the chiropractic field, confidence, knowing your worth, not jumping in and saying, oh, I'll give this for free and that for free and that for free, because, it makes patients kind of, not feel that confident in you. So when I've stepped in offices that have been very successful, it's here coming, this is what you're going to get. This is what the charge is. This is, they're just, it's a presence and a confidence. Those offices always succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say that's probably, the biggest thing I would see in the successful offices. Also, you can analyze your market. What is there a need for in your area, whether it be nutrition or exercise or anything additional,
Yeah, definitely. I think to your point about the confidence, I think you can visualize that.
Yes.
I think if you need to role play in your head your day, your interaction with patients, your interaction with your staff or with your boss if you're an associate, but visualizing those interactions and what would you say and what would a confident you say to that person and how would you feel saying that and going through those motions almost like an Olympic athlete does. Go through the motions of their sport. You go through the motions of your sport, your practice.
That is right on. Yes, that's very true. And when you know your worth and you're confident, your business grows and your patients will come and they'll stay forever. I know. It's funny because I always say I have an office that I've known for years and years. I call it the magic office. They don't do an ounce of marketing. Their phone rings off the hook. They never have room for new patients. And what is it, when I look at this office, the doctor in this office is a presence and you feel it the minute you walk in the door. He doesn't offer a lot of bells and whistles, but there's something about him. It's a confidence and knowing what your skill set is and a presence that I've seen other offices where maybe somebody is a little more skilled or has a little something else struggle. So yeah, it definitely is. And you're right to think about.
I think that's an important point too, that you don't need all of those bells and whistles. That's not it. Those are trendy or, that might get people in the door, but it's not going to make them stay, which is ultimately should be your end goal, is that you, not to keep treating them, but that they consider you their chiropractor. And if anyone consults with them about who to go to, they say you.
They say you. Yes. And it is, it's I like to see it. It makes me happy to see people that are like that and succeeding.
what are some things doctors can do to avoid leaving money on the table?
Oh gosh, underbilling. Definitely. Make sure that you're billing the insurance companies for all the services that you're performing, not just the adjustment. And it doesn't put you any more on the radar for an audit than just billing the adjustment. I mean, if your fees are out of control, if you're, charging outrageous amounts, that might put you on the radar, but just billing your average amount of services would not. I would say that that's the biggest way to leave money on the table is underbilling. Second would be the follow-up. Again, going back to your reports and utilizing your software and making sure that your claims are paid timely, that your denials are followed up on, eligibilities are done, and authorizations and referrals. In chiropractic, there's a lot of insurance companies that require authorizations and referrals. This is probably my biggest denial that I see. The office doesn't get the authorization, or they've lost track of how many visits the patient has had. So setting up policies, I mean, you might not want to get an authorization when you might want to move them to a different plan or whatever it is, but have a system set up so that's what you want to do, instead of just, oops, now I have to write out 3 visits because I didn't inform the patient. I didn't get an authorization. So yeah, I would say that's a biggie.
Are those things you go over with doctors if you kind of to analyze what they've been doing and
yes,
those things out to them when you start working with them?
Oh yes, absolutely. We always go over denials. I always weekly let them know what their denials are, how we could change it, what can I do. If they're close to me, I'll go in the office, and I work a lot closely with the staff, so secretaries or the CAs, and I usually like to get a good relationship with them because the doctor's busy a lot of times. So then I can tell the girls or guys in the office, this is what you need to do to track these visits. You need a visit tracker. You need some sort of alert that lets you know that their visit limit is going to be met soon, or if they have a monetary benefit, $500 a year, that's going to be met soon. So yes, we do a lot of teaching. We're very interactive with our offices, I have to say.
That's great.
Yeah, it really is. I wouldn't have it any other way. I would never feel good about myself if I allowed someone to struggle and I didn't try to help.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're lucky. Grateful for our business.
Well, that makes your business go well too, just like
yes.
with the chiropractic office. So my next question, I've had to train a lot of office managers or associates on calling insurance, mostly office managers or CAs to follow up on the denials and get the reimbursement. I've had a lot of issues. I feel like it's a right mixture of being aggressive, knowledgeable, nice, and there's kind of a science to it. What's your take on that?
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. I always start off being extremely nice, respectful and firm. So that's how I start, and I usually throw in, the fact that I've been doing this for 20 years, but if you don't have that to throw in, you could start off as this is going to get paid. I say, keep the mindset this is going to get paid in the back of your mind. Don't go in assuming, oh, I'll never get this paid. I'll never get this fixed. When you go in with that mindset, that's what the vibe you're going to give off on the phone. And then if you need to get firm and call a supervisor, absolutely do it. I always ask for a supervisor if I realize that, because a lot of times you will know more than the rep on the phone. Most of the time. So don't ever be afraid to say, oh, I'd like to speak with you, supervisor, please, in a very respectful way, because you will get to know the same people. You will talk to the same people, especially in personal injury and workers' compensation. These adjusters, you want to make good relationships, but you do not want to get walked over. So you're right.
Yeah.
It is.
What about if you ask for a supervisor and they say there isn't one?
Oh, there's always a supervisor.
Yeah. I had that happen last week.
Yeah, I've had people try. So they'll say, oh, they're not here right now. Oh, they're not, and I would say I've been known, to get tough when I have to get tough. I mean, I'm a softie with the patients, but I can
Yeah.
get tough with insurance. And I would say, well, I'll call right on up till I get the CEO if I need to. I mean, you really
Yeah.
want to hold
That's kind of
firm.
the approach I took.
Yes, I mean, everybody jokes that I'm the one to go in because when you've been doing it long enough, and there is a supervisor, and there's going to be a CEO and a president and
Uh-huh.
whoever you can get the name of, and it's it's a tricky.
It is. It is. I had one patient that had an MBA, but the MBA had ended and she switched to her health insurance.
Yes.
And it took me probably 2 or 3 hours. I had talked to like 8 different people. It was, I'd called several times. There was, it was probably a year after the fact. And, I finally got it, but good grief.
Yeah,
They're not going to make it easy on you. You have
they're
to
not going to make it
be
easy.
in it to win it. I like that your mindset is, setting your mindset. I think that's a great way to think about it.
It really is, and I've always done that. Just in the back of my mind. And when I train people, I always say, when your mindset is, I'm going to get this paid and I'm going to do it, you will do it. But if you're stressed and you're thinking, oh, I'll never do this, we never get paid for anything, then you're probably not going to get paid for
Yeah.
it. So yeah, mindset is huge. And I mean, it's hard. It's a stressful job. Insurance is stressful, and some chiropractors are doing it on their own. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen that, they don't have stuff. So you're juggling a lot of jobs
It
but
can be a daunting task
yes,
if you're a one-man show.
if you're a
For
one-man
sure.
show, it definitely
Uh-huh.
is. Yes.
And I saw someone post the other day. She uses an outside biller, and she's decided that until she's bringing in $750,000 a year, it doesn't make any sense to have it in house.
Uh-huh.
But if somebody does bring it in house, what do you think they should look for when hiring for the position?
Well, the biller of today has to have very good computer skills because this job requires, 90% of what we send is electronic. Your appeals are electronic. Your corrected claims are electronic. Your auths and eligibilities are all electronic. So they have to have computer skills. Secondly, billing experience. So you want to make sure that somebody has billed before, if you can find this, that they know what they're doing. And the biggest bonus would be to have a certification. So a certified biller, certified coder, that would be the biggest bonus.
Interesting. It kind of seems like to me maybe going with an outside biller makes the most sense until you can afford that type of person, because you don't want to hand it off to someone who you have to train. That's a very expensive, and anything that they're going to miss can get expensive. So
yeah, it is true. And in my experience, and it's a rare few offices, but in my experience, the collections were always higher when they outsourced because of the multitasking and all of that. I have seen a few offices where they were lucky enough just to get someone amazing, but it was rare. So yeah, it's hard. And then if you do find somebody amazing, which I've seen this as well, and they're working for you for a year or two, then they leave. And then you're back to square one, where when you outsource, you're not worried about somebody quitting or, any sort of change.
I saw that with someone I graduated with. I think, when he first opened, he had somebody with him for almost the first 10 years, and then they quit. And he personally had no idea how to do the software or any of it. So how long have you had your business?
So I've been doing this for about 20 years, just chiropractic for about 10.
Okay.
So I've just been working with chiros for the last 10, and it's really been the best part of my business. It really has. Before that, it wasn't the same sort of vibe to my business that it is now.
We're good people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I think so.
What's one challenge that you've had to overcome in your business?
I would say the biggest challenge when I was hiring staff, I thought in the beginning I would hire someone who didn't have experience and pay less, so I wouldn't pay a higher rate, and train them myself.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that this caused me a large amount of stress and basically was 3 times the work.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hire someone now, I hire someone with experience. And then, you know, when I give them a task or they start to do things, they can actually do them and it doesn't fall back on me. So that was probably the
That's
biggest
good. I
thing.
like that.
Yeah, it really was a big lesson to learn. It took me a while. I kept doing the same thing, which I don't know, in business, that's what I would say. If something doesn't work, learn the first time. But I kept
Mm-hmm.
doing it and training people and spending all this time. I wanted them to do it my way, which is great. But in the end, when I hired someone experienced and then told them how I wanted it done, it was a piece of cake. Best thing I ever did.
That's awesome. Do you have any daily rituals or habits that you do?
Yes, definitely. Every night I write a to-do list for the next day. So I have a calendar
That's
and
good.
I
Like
keep my
that.
Google Calendar, but I even print it out sometimes and write it so that my mind can kind of rest afterwards and I know that I'll
Mm-hmm.
get everything done. And then in the morning, I always think of or try to write down, which it's hard sometimes, what I'm grateful for.
That's good. We
Yeah.
have we have both of those in our Chiro planner.
Oh, that's
So we like,
perfect.
yeah,
Yes.
I think definitely setting intention for the next day is powerful.
It
Thinking
really is.
about and going off of, how your day was, what can you do tomorrow? What will
Yes.
move you forward the next day? So I like that. What's your favorite book, or what book would you recommend to us?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I've probably read everyone on the market because I have an obsession with business books. But I would say to read E-Myth. It's an older one, but
Uh-huh.
it really gives you, I think it will give new chiropractors and existing chiropractors, an idea of how the business should be. So in the email, they tell you set your business up like a McDonald's. You flip the
Mm-hmm.
burgers, you add the bun, put on the ketchup. Well, in your office, that's how it should run, so that if you lost a staff member or something changed, everybody knows how to. Okay, the patient calls. We have the new call intake. Let's get their insurance. The second step is, let's do the eligibility. Do they need any authorizations? The third step, making sure they're coming in and we're explaining the benefits. But when it's run in that manner, everybody knows what to do
Mm-hmm.
and it will take the stress off the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
So
For
yeah,
sure. I think, and that's, and like I said, it's hard for students to understand that whole business system, how it's so
yes.
important. And I think we talk about it a lot, and they kind of wonder what is a business system, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
everything. It's everything. It's how you operate, your whole procedures. So is that something you guys offer? Do you do procedure manuals or?
We have not. We've been asked. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything right now, but there's always the brainstorming of what's to come because that, I know there's always, if there was more time in the day, but that really is such a huge part of, helping run a successful business.
For
So
sure.
I'll put it on my to-do list tonight.
What's the best business advice you've ever received?
Probably to find your niche, know what you're good
Mm-hmm.
at, and hone in on it. For me, it was chiropractic. Like I said, my business before, it was good and successful and everything, but really, I hit my sweet spot when I focused on the one specialty. And know your worth. Really know your worth.
Yeah.
Be confident. The most successful businesses have that presence, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm. For sure. That's definitely something we talk about. Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on. You have so much information, and is there a way for people to connect with you, find you if they're interested?
Sure, absolutely. You can email me at gomm, GOMMJENNIFER @gmail.com. You can find me at the Chiropractic Billing Hub.com, or you can call me at 866-298-7907, extension 1. And thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk business.
Awesome. We'll talk again.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
And take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.